What it do? What it do? It's your boy O2, and we're back at it with Do the Most podcast. And today we are talking about fear and a list of the top 10 most common fears out there. We're going to go a little deeper and talk about our top fears, whether they're in the top 10 or not. I have a lot in the top 10 that are a part of my fears, but if I went ahead and listed right before the video, listed my top three fears, and really when I read the top 10, none of mine align with the top 10. So, and one of them I may go down a wormhole or a rabbit hole. So, buckle up. Thank you for joining. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, man. It's free and it helps support me and what my dream of my YouTube channel. But nonetheless, we're going to get right into it. So drop a like, leave a comment of your biggest fear if you're not scared to in the comments below. We really appreciate the viewership that we do receive. While it's not many, those who watch, we appreciate it very much. So want to just give a rough definition of what fear is, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually natural, very natural. I'm looking at something real quick. I'm pulling something up just so I can elaborate if I need be. But fear is a fundamental, unpleasant, emotional, and adaptive survival mechanism triggered by perceived real or even imagined threats. It activates the body's fight or flight response, and I add freeze too, because some people freeze. The fight or flight / freeze response, causing immediate intense physical changes like rapid heart rate, sweating, shallow breathing. And this is to prepare you for danger. It serves to keep us safe, but it can also stem from irrational psychological or social factors. So it can interfere with daily life. And when it starts becoming an interference with daily life, we call them phobias, we call them disorders, and the like. Thanks in part to the medical community, including the psychological part of the medical community. We like to separate the brain and the body, mental health and physical health from each other when the brain is attached to the body, man. So mental health is just as important as physical health, if not more so. The brain is the chief organ of the body besides the heart, I would say. The rest, if you got a beating heart and an active brain, you can get put on dialysis. They can breathe for you with life support. The other organs, I guess the third most important would really be the liver. But anyways, we're going to get into it. Top 10 worst fears, guys. Number 1 should come as no surprise, as drop a like on the video if this is at least one of your fears. It don't even have to be in your top 10, but it's definitely, if it's in my list of fears. I have a list of fears, guys, but number 1 is spiders, guys. Spiders. Them creepy 8-legged arachnids of all shapes, colors, and sizes. Everybody seen the huntsman spider and the wolf spider? Man, some around here where we live, some of them can get I kid you not, guys, this big. And if you're listening to this instead of watching it, I'm showing about a softball-sized spider. The more dangerous ones around here, like the black widow and the brown recluse, are typically a little smaller than your big harmless spiders. You think the harmless spiders would be more dangerous by looks, but the black widow, which has the red hourglass, usually on the underside of the belly, but I've seen some on just the back of the thorax. I think that's what it's called. Black widows are dangerous. Brown recluses are another one. Those actually don't look dangerous. You have to. We around here we say look for the fiddle on the back. If it beyond the eyes, if you see the little like a little shape of a fiddle, which is a violin, guys, you're dealing with a brown recluse. And a lot of times they infest places, and their bites can actually lead to necrosis, like the dying of tissue. So it's an understandable fear. Spiders are terrifying. They usually show up when you least expect them. You move something, you see a spider, you're like, oh my God, oh, so it's totally rational fear, man. Kind of like people jumping when mice run out and scurry across the house because it's a scare factor too. And they're just creepy and they're nasty looking. I mean, ooh, they don't look natural, even though they're very natural. Second, no surprise, comes in at second place, snakes. And this is a funny thing because I'm not actually afraid of snakes. I like snakes. I can relate to snakes. I don't want to be provoked, and if you provoke me too much, I'm gonna bite back, baby. But snakes get a bad rap because people do accidentally step on them or provoke them. Sadly, some people actually provoke snakes. I know snake handlers kind of have to, especially the ones that use and turn the, especially venomous snakes and turn them into anti venom. But I can see why snakes are so scary because they're slithery. A lot of them are camouflaged and hard to see if you go out in the woods. And hell, some of them can get into your houses. Honestly, so I can see snakes, but snakes, will say, man, they're more afraid of us than we are afraid of them. Believe it or not. Heights comes in at third, and that is a big fear of mine. I am terrified of heights. Now, have I pushed myself to the limits with the heights? I'd say yes. I've zip lined. I've rode a few roller coasters in my life. I've been up to some very high places. I've cut trees. I've experienced heights, and while I do not enjoy it, I have faced that fear. I've been in a helicopter too, guys. But heights, that's totally understandable in my opinion. Heights, because like it ain't necessarily it's the not just the fear of the falling, but the splat at the end. So I can see why heights is a big fear. Another one's flying, which really goes hand in hand with heights because you're like, this is going to be the flight that I'm gonna, I'm gonna be, I've never flown before, other besides the helicopter guys. Never flown in a plane. My brother has. I know several people that have. I say it's nothing other than a little bit of turbulence, which immediately my brain that fight or flight. It's like, yeah, I'm not taking a flight. I just freeze and stay here. No, the flying. I mean, people fly all the time and frequently, same people frequently, and it's more the smaller planes that wreck, but the big planes do too. And it's rational, I think, to be scared of flying because if the plane goes down, I mean, the plane's going down, and speaking of that, anybody remember watching Snakes on a Plane? That's a double whammy, I know that was a fictional movie, Snakes on a Plane, but you have to laugh at it, guys. Fine, I get it. I don't. I could probably fly in a plane. I just personally, I think I'd have to be sedated. Enclosed spaces. This is a very common one, guys. Claustrophobia. If nobody knows any other phobia, everybody knows about claustrophobia. People being in elevators, tight spaces, caves. Tight squeezes in caves. They don't go up. People avoid caves. What else is real tight? Uh, Elevators and caves is the main thing that comes to my mind. There's a lot of places in like factories where there's tight spaces, especially for maintenance men and stuff. Mines. People are like, I ain't going to working at that mine. You crazy? That mine will freaking fall down and collapse on me. I'm too scared. So I get it. That's another one. Like I get it. I'm not personally claustrophobic until like I guess I can be at times, but not as much as some people will literally come unglued. As long as like the Star Wars, remember episode 4, I think it was, where the walls they were in the trash dump and the walls are coming. Unless that's actually happening, it doesn't bother me as bad as some people. Coming in at 6, guys, dogs.
This surprised me.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. I get it though, because when I was a little kid, there was dogs much bigger than me, and there was one that I lived near that liked to chase, and I was a little scared at first, but when I grew up, like I grew up around dogs, so like that went away pretty
I
quickly.
just didn't expect this to make top 10. Like I personally know people who have issues with dogs and that fear, but there are just some that are missing, I think, from this list where dogs were number 6, not even like number 10. So that one was just
Where do you get this list from?
Google.
Google, guys. Google. We should have got one from Stanford or something. I don't know. I'm just playing. Dogs. I mean, big ravenous ones. I've seen some dogs, some mastiffs, some mean. I've seen some mean looking dogs and mean acting dogs. Some owners train their dogs to be vicious as a protector. So it makes sense. You don't want the cop releasing the canine, the German Shepherd on you. So it can get pretty bad, whether you're scared of a dog or not. They can tear your ass up. Coming in at seventh, though, we have Thunder and Lightning. Ba-boom, guys. People don't like storms, and I get it. We actually live in a location that we get tornadoes pretty frequently. Like every year, we hear about a tornado in our area. It seems like, I would say, and sometimes in the winter months, which is even crazier for the people that don't believe in climate change. I mean, climate is changing, but thunder and lightning, I can totally understand that, man, because think about it. It's raining outside. Rain is a great conductor for electricity, and somehow electricity, the static, because lightning is static electricity, like a lot of it concentrated in an area, but nobody wants to go out in a big downpour with lightning, man, because lightning strikes close enough and water it can travel through. Boom, people have survived lightning strikes, which is amazing to me. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I'm not that doesn't bother me too much unless it deals with the power. If the power goes out, then I'm more worried about the tornado than I am the thunder and lightning. Like, yeah, I don't want to be hit by lightning. Usually, I use the old method, like touch some metal and ground myself and take off towards the car or something if I'm out in a thunder and lightning storm. But it usually actually is calming for me as long as the lights stay on. Coming in at 8 is injections and needles. Now I can relate to this because doing blood work and getting blood taken from my arm is very unnerving. The lady I go to, real quick too, quick story. The lady I go to get my blood drawn at I'm not gonna name my place where I go to, my PCP, but where I go, the phlebotomist there, she is an angel. She is so good with a needle, you don't really even know unless you're watching her. You don't know when she's sticking you. She's a very good poker. Very good phlebotomist. Good poker. She's very good at poking. Yeah. But nonetheless, no matter how good she does it good every time. There's some bad people. There's some people that dig and miss, and people end up with bruises on their arms from the misses and stuff. Man, there's junkies out there that can shoot better, man. But all jokes aside, I get it. I do, because then you've got a needle hanging out your arm, or getting a shot even kind of sucks, because some of them actually do sting. But having some like a needle hang out as blood drains out, it's just like, I'm currently dying. If she would just keep this in and just let me drain out, and you just kind of feel it too. I get it. And I've actually on a to get a job, I had to do a blood test one time, and I nearly fainted. And I feel like they called me back and told me I didn't get the job. I think it was because I about fainted when this is about over 10 years ago, but I about fainted when they started taking my blood. Like, I just could not stand it. So I can definitely relate to that one. Ninth, coming in, social situations. And this is a big one too. A lot of people are social butterflies. They don't understand why are people so afraid of social interaction? Because some of us are introverts, guys. Not all of us like to be around a bunch of people, which is going to lead us in the 10th one. But for a second, we'll stop here. Social interactions can be hard for people that, here's the thing. I'll say this saying real quick. Even quiet people talk a lot around the right people. But when you're around people that don't have the same views as you, maybe from the same background or similar experiences, or where you're different from the population, or it could just be because there's some kind of irrational, personal, not bias, but kind of personal problem, as my dad would say, that causes you to freeze up in social situations, or flight, you take out and leave. You can't do the meeting because you can't have eyeballs on you because it feels like lasers burning into your skin, or I get it. I do get it. But that's something you can work through. I think all of these you can work through. Maybe not the spiders, snakes, heights, flying. Maybe not the top 5, but the bottom ones I think we can work through better. But the social situations, I totally get it. Right there with those people. That's the thing, man. When you are in a social situation, force yourself to just say, even if it's something stupid, just say something. A lot of times that'll break the ice. But that leads us into the 10th one, which is open or crowded spaces. And I've gotten this one too. I've been in big arenas. I've been in auditoriums. I've been in really crowded malls and big spaces. And I'm gonna tell you, like especially like the auditorium in downtown. You know the one.
Nashville?
No, in town, in our
Oh,
town.
the Alhambra.
Yeah, and it's not even the highest roof building I've ever been in. But as a kid going there for like plays and little events, I would look up and just seeing the expanse of the place would make me feel disoriented and stuff. It doesn't bother me as bad as it used to, but crowded places, I don't like a whole lot of crowded places. One, increases the likelihood of something dangerous happen, more people, statistically more problems. But it's definitely a viable and reasonable fear to have. All these are in the top 10 are very reasonable and well, I wouldn't say too out there or irrational because wrote down three fears and maybe you have three fears that you can come up with
Yeah.
of like our top. What bothers us the most? What do we spend the most time on worrying about? And we shouldn't be worrying. I know I actually do suffer from generalized anxiety disorder, which causes me to persistently worry from the time I wake up real good. There's a few hours in the morning where I'm like, I'm good. But once I get, awake, meaning like fully awake and aware, I start just typically playing the what if scenario in my head of everything that can happen. Basically what the original definition, the irrational psychological factors that a lot of times I trick my own self into fearing things that I shouldn't, but that comes with the territory of mental disorders, guys. I guess I'll start with mine. All right, number one, numero uno. Two of them kind of go together, so I'm actually going to start with the one that doesn't. One of my, and these are in no particular order, so I'm just actually doing this one first, so that because the other two kind of go hand in hand, and I'm going to kind of elaborate on the third one. But my first one is remote places being far from help. That doesn't just mean, it does mean in a sense, I don't want to be on an island. There's this island out in the Pacific Ocean that is the most remote place on Earth. Google it. It's crazy. It's like I'm too many miles away from help. But yeah, this is like a twofold type fear. I don't want to be too far out I love to go out in nature. Don't get me wrong. I love to go out in the woods. I love to go out and get away from the city. But if I'm an hour from a hospital, I do tend to get kind of like, I'm in the cut and I'm not drinking, I've been sober for over 3 years and I don't have my medication in me, I'm going to start feeling some type of way. I'm going to start getting disoriented. But I say twofold because I can definitely relate to that social situation. I also as I am an introvert, I'm an extroverted introvert, meaning I talk a lot around the right people. If I don't talk around you, I might not trust you. I might not agree on things that you agree with, and I'll be quiet. But I don't want to be socially isolated. So really, what the core fear is isolation. I have a big fear of isolation from being from help, meaning medical help, and even isolation from social. I want to be social with people. I want to exchange ideas with people. I want to crack jokes and laugh and smile with people. I do. And the fact that a lot of times I feel rejected and isolated, um, it's a living nightmare, honestly. And my second one, and then which will lead me into the third one, and then I'll elaborate on the third one. My second one, and this is a lot of people. I don't know why this didn't make top 10 personally, but it is what it is. I guess it made top 20. I don't know. Dying, but not just dying a terrible death. And I'll get a little more into this, and then I'll go into my third one, walking right into it. It's not dying itself that scares me. It's the method in which I'll die. I don't care if I die tomorrow, honestly, but it's the way in which I'll die. I had written down here on the paper next to it in parentheses. I want to be able. I want to, and this is gonna y'all. Some of y'all may do backflips and roll in your couch. I don't know, not by laughing, but like, what the hell? I want to be able to control my death. I want to be able to say when it's time for me to die, I die. Now, what does that look like? You can probably put the puzzle pieces together, but and judge me, that's fine. You're allowed an opinion, but judgment, you're not, unless you're just like every other person. But nonetheless, which feeds me into my third biggest fear, which I am going to get into a little bit before I hand it over to my wife. The concept of hell, and I'm talking about the Abrahamic Christian, Judeo-Christian, especially Christian. We'll just leave the Jews out of it for a little bit because I don't exactly know what the Jews believe. I don't have any Jewish friends. They believe a lot different from Westernized Christianity, but I was raised in, especially from 7 years old all the way until I got ran off from that church at about 17, 18. It was a hell and brimstone church. If you cussed, smoked, drank, got tattoos, you were going to hell. In saying this, I was 7 years old, and I was even taught. I was taught it before then, but it really hit home at 7 years old. Now, there's been studies done and research done that shows that children, and that's the thing. That's the thing about the Christian religion is they want to get them early. Indoctrination doesn't work as well if somebody's 35 or 40 years old. It's hard to convert. Not to say that people don't convert to Christianity at the 40 years old, 50, 30, 20, and not to say that it happens, but to indoctrinate, to expose a child to the idea, because a child's brain at 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old really isn't developed enough to understand eternal torment and punishment for a finite life. They don't even know what the word finite means, most of them probably, unless they're some gifted and talented student. It's caused many, and I've made a video about it in my mental health section called religious trauma syndrome. But many children exposed grow up obsessed about this hell thing, not because they want to go or anything. It's not quite the opposite. They don't want to go. I think it's unfair for anybody to go to this eternal, meaning timeless torment, meaning time dissolves and it goes on forever, causes long-term negative psychological symptoms and disorders, which I think fuels my fear of dying, my fear of remote places, and all the above. And it just kind of cycles like a hamster wheel. Some people I've read online, New Age, and New Age is not meaning witches or anything, just newer thinkers have actually touted this as spiritual terrorism, and I agree with them, because they're like, the thing is, this is a two-parter right here real quick, and I promise I'll hand it to my wife. It's spiritual terrorism because a child shouldn't be exposed to something like that at that kind of age. They can't wrap their head around that, and that's how they get you in. That's how they get you into the religion at an early age. They want they want the parents to bring the kids in, because then they can give you. But hey, there's somebody that can save you from this hell. And now Western Christianity is starting to turn the tables back around, and it's evolving, because I'm gonna get in a little bit. Sheol actually evolved. It was agreed upon up until Jesus came around that Sheol was the place of the dead. It was Bible was heavily influenced by Greek culture, hence why the word Hades, which is the Greek word for the underworld, Sheol being the Hebrew word. The Bible was heavily influenced by the Greeks, who had a lot of culture at the time, the Persians, who they were once ruled over, and the Babylonians and the Romans. They were influenced by all these different cultures. So the Bible was also influenced because they were written by men influenced by these cultures. So I do think it is a bad thing to expose. But now they're focusing on the Jesus part in Western Christianity, and not focusing about the actual relationship, the power of God, that Christ can actually, via the Holy Spirit, can reside in you. You can raise people from the dead. You can heal people, but that's not being taught. It's more about the goodness of God, and that's for another time, guys. That's just my fears, and I'm gonna leave it over to my wife. Please don't hate me for everything I just said. It's just where I'm at with my fears, and it's me being open, honest, and vulnerable. I don't. We wouldn't subject a kid to fear on purpose. I don't think, but the fact that the church has allowed that to happen for many years, and some still continue to teach that fire and brimstone kind of message, I think it isn't good long term psychologically. It messes with people's heads. But with saying that, I give my wife the floor for her. You can do however many fears you want, but that was my big three. And mic drop. No, pin drop. Go ahead.
I mean, I guess mine don't really fit like in a. Probably doesn't have like a special name or anything because I'm just weird and unique and all the things. But honestly, my biggest one is probably just the fear. Like, and when I say that these are my fears, like these are just the things that like
Things that bother you.
Bother me, like take up my thoughts and things. I can't necessarily call it fight, flight, or freeze with them, but like they do constantly come to mind. I just fear that I am letting people down all the time. And I don't want to do that. And then my other one, probably my second one, is just that this sounds probably so not prideful, but I guess self-absorbed a little bit. I just worry, I guess, that people almost pity me instead of like actually enjoying my company. I don't know. Irrational. Totally irrational. Don't think like me, but
I don't think that's irrational. I see it.
Those are my two, like.
I do see it. Yeah. A lot of people want to, not to cut you off, but real quick, my wife has been through a lot, guys. We won't get into it this podcast episode, but she's been through a lot just since I've known her, and then learning about her and the things she's had to face. People do. I'm not going to name no names so that people people locally don't get too involved. But a lot of people, when they're around her, it's more, oh, poor Lindsay, than it is, hey, let's hang out with Lindsay. What's up? You know, it's more of it's solemn to be around my wife. It feels like, not from my perspective, but I can see other people around her pitying her, and it actually pisses me off a lot of times, and I want to just, I'm not going to say that on camera, but yeah, it makes me want to, rough somebody up, but go ahead.
I mean, those are just my two big ones.
Two big ones? Okay.
I think it is important, though, to realize, like, going over that top 10 list, like, you can overcome some of these things. As a kid, I was petrified and, like, would have panic attacks with storms and things like that. And that is something I've kind of grown out of. So, like, just because a fear is bothering you, like, currently, it doesn't mean that it's going to be with you forever. And you really can work through them and, like, expose yourself and kind of overcome those things. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can overcome them, and some people, not everybody makes it out alive. Well, nobody makes it out alive of this life, but some people can let their fears consume them and drive them to madness. I've let it do it to me over the years, and I found alcohol as a solution. A lot of people call it the problem. It's actually the solution. It only becomes a problem because of the addiction. It's not the person's fault. It is the addiction. And it's a lot of things, it's a lot of things that push people to that point to try to run to relief, because a lot of times I'm just going to be honest, God doesn't provide the relief, so we seek it by our own means, by our own hands. We say our prayers, we are earnest with them, and we don't hear nothing back. So we take matters in our own hands, and a lot of times it's not the greatest step in the right direction to facing things, and we get caught up into bad patterns, bad habits, and I've caught myself throughout the years in bad habits, bad patterns, and it never leads anywhere good. But you can overcome them. Don't think that you are stuck in them. You can work through your fears. So if you're watching this right now and you're facing something that feels insurmountable, something you can't get past, a mountain, so to speak, as Jesus said, You can tell the mountain to be moved and it will move. Like, not to say you wouldn't have to do some work with it, but if you really believe that it can be moved, it can be moved. I have something in my philosophy book that I've been writing. It's more than a philosophy book, it's an everything book. But if you can think it, it probably exists, and that can go in. It can go into this too. You could convince yourself that your fear isn't even real, and while that may be a delusion, the delusion might save you. I know it's a little wacky and sideways to say, but a lot of times there's so many tricks of the trade out there to combat these fears, and we may get into that in another episode. This might be a part one. I don't know. We'll just see. My wife actually suggested this idea because I just didn't have the motivation today to come up with an idea. It was kind of like brain fog, but yeah, so there's your top 10 fears, our fears, and we'd love to hear from you in the comments if you're bold enough to share your fears with us and the community. We appreciate you for watching. As always, please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, share it with a friend, and we will see you guys in the next podcast episode. Do the most podcast. Let's go. O2 does the most. Let them know. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk. Be bold enough to drop your biggest fear. We'll do that. Biggest fear in the comments. Please. Thank you. Peace out. Over and out.